This morning, I told myself to fuck off, and here's why you should do it too. This is a year of discipline and foundation for me. The foundation of not who I am today, but who I want to be in 10 years, 15 years, and 20 years from now. And with that, I've had to really dial in to the times I wake up, the food that I eat, when I'm going to the gym, essentially putting into my mind who is the person I would want to be 15 years from now, and what would that person do on a daily basis. Science shows that your behavior and attitude is ultimately what starts to design your outcomes. However, I found that I and so many people are allowing our outcomes to dictate our behavior and our attitude. And this morning when I woke up, I wanted nothing more than just to stay in my bed where it was comfortable and warm. And I felt like I was starting to create those excuses in my brain of I went to bed late, I didn't have that great of sleep, maybe my kids were waking me up in the middle of the night. All of the excuses started flooding in as soon as that alarm clock went off to say, hey, give yourself a break, stay in bed. It was at that moment that I told myself to go fuck off. Because what I realized is that what I was hearing was not actually the me that I wanted to be. It was the me that was 3 years ago. It was the me of 5 years ago. The me that was going to hold me back and stay comfortable. The me that was fine for just settling with mediocre. Our brains are designed for comfort and surviving. Or with today, with all the entertainment and all the media and all the social media, our brains are even more designed and addicted to just pleasure. And what that causes is a dangerous pattern of going from pleasure to pleasure and always trying to remain in a state of pleasure and ease. And this leads to complacency, and this also leads to you never actually reaching the goals that you want to hit. Because to reach any goal that you want to hit, it requires friction, it requires resistance, because the future that you want, the future that you're trying to design, is not in alignment with the future or the present that you have right now. And so our brains are constantly not wanting to evolve into the future that we want to be, because that requires us to create a state, an environment, and a being that is not who you are now, which requires more energy and requires risk, and therefore the body does not like that. And so this morning when my alarm clock went off and those excuses started flooding in, I had to dig deep and say, go fuck yourself. Because I knew that the voice I was hearing was not actually me, but it was the me that wants to hold me back, which is no longer who I want to be now and will not be who I am in the future. Now here's the secret in how I actually do that though. Because some people say that, Ashton, you have so much discipline, but actually I want to propose a different perspective for you. The reason I was able to snap myself out of it and communicate back to myself to go fuck off and actually get out of bed and go to the gym was not because of the discipline that I had, but actually the awareness of the lack of discipline that I have. You see, what I do every night is I actually rehearse me waking up in the morning. Every night I quote to myself internally and audibly that I am clear, I am confident, I am creative. And I also say that my alarm is going off at 5:30 in the morning and I am waking up right at 5. I will not delay, I will not hit the snooze button, I am getting up immediately with energy and focus and excitement for the day. I do this for about 3 to 5 minutes before falling asleep, and what this allows me to do is rehearse the moment that I wake up. If you look at athletes or even war fighters, what they're constantly doing is practicing the scenarios that could come up in the game or on the battlefield. These are some of the most disciplined people on earth, but they're constantly rehearsing what could happen so that when it does happen, they are ready to make action because they've already made the action in their head way ahead of time and they've rehearsed it. I think sometimes we forget that as humans, we must rehearse the future scenarios that could come our way if we want to handle them better. If you're someone who struggles with waking up on time, you should start rehearsing what your wake up looks like. What's the first thing you do when your alarm clock gets up? Put your feet on the ground. Get up. Do you stretch? Do you look outside? Do you walk to get a glass of water? Do you turn on the shower? Do you go to the restroom? Start rehearsing future possible outcomes so that when the future meets your present, you already can act accordingly because you've planned for this ahead of time. Stop relying so much on willpower or discipline and start just rehearsing. My greatest development of discipline is actually starting with the self-awareness of the lack of discipline that I currently have. If you want to take this rehearsal method to the next level, don't just rehearse how you wake up. Start rehearsing how you act when you receive bad news. Start rehearsing how you'll act when someone disagrees with you. Start rehearsing how you'll act when things don't go your way. And the more you can rehearse and pre-plan your actions and settle your mind on the possibility of the outcomes coming your way, when they do eventually come to your present, you'll be able to act accordingly because you've trained for it. And because you've trained and rehearsed, that is what actually develops discipline and allows you to move forward with more control over your body and your mind. So the next time your brain is trying to whisper to you things that you know is not in alignment with what your future self actually wants to be, tell yourself to go fuck yourself. Because what you're speaking to is not the you that you are, it's the you that you were, but not the you that you will be in in the future. Get after it, keep going, and if you want to step forward with more courage and ferocity, start rehearsing and pre-planning actions that you know are inhibiting you from embracing the future that you actually want for yourself. Comment below what you're going to start rehearsing and turning into a discipline.